A little boy experiences 3 unique nightmares in which he overcomes his fears and reclaims his most precious playmates, which he lost in his earlier life. Despite prevailing in each challenge, a menacing demonic smiley face is ever present, never leaving the company of the boy. It's only truly revealed by the end, the horrible predicament the little boy is trapped within. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. You can follow me on Twitter, where I occasionally post and use to communicate with you folks. This video will contain spoilers. With that in mind, let's begin. The little boy gets to bed after an exhausting day when he wakes up in a terrible nightmare, placing him in a seemingly lonely, pitch-black room. In debilitating fear, the little boy makes his way through the nightmare. His first challenge is going through a surreal and creepy puzzle, being presented with a gift box. In joy, he opens the box thinking it might contain an entertaining toy, but instead he realizes that it only kickstarts the puzzle. The puzzle includes a clown, a nesting doll, and a toy cat, who slowly become corrupted and villainous and collide with each other at the end, showing the child a premonition of him getting impaled by a spike. In crippling fear, the boy falls on his back and starts shivering and mumbling. To the boy's relief, these monstrous entities disappear and a football drops down, bouncing in its place. This reminds the little boy of a traumatizing memory he experienced earlier in his life, where his football was taken from him by a bully in a playground. His fear and sadness gives rise to a demonic presence wearing a forced smile. Back to his nightmare, the ball bounces away from him, to which he happily chases after smiling, believing it to be only a game, until it gets covered in a clown jack-o'-lantern. As he raises the clown cup-like jack-o'-lantern, he finds a teddy head which he places on a headless body of a teddy. He subsequently reattaches a toy wooden man's head to its body and a monkey with cymbals. All the toys then start dancing and playing, with the boy in happiness dancing and enjoying the show. Then suddenly, the toys become demonic and the jack-o'-lanterns above them produce parasitic-like tentacles, dancing menacingly, which causes the boy to stop in fear and tremble in the scenery. Subsequently, all the toys break apart with the bouncing ball reappearing. The little boy sets on chasing after it yet again. The ball then comes to an abrupt stop close to a giant skeletal bear. The ball goes into its mouth and the boy tries to solve the puzzle to get it out. After cranking the bear's arms, a cyclops skeleton emerges, offering its only eyeball, which opens up, and a dismembered demonic scarecrow, glowing in red, stretches out sideways with the ball coming out of it. A vision then shows the little boy correspondingly stretching out sideways in a similar fashion. The ball then bounces further away from the boy, who chases after it. The ball then eventually stops inside a giant doll, which the boy manages to get out by controlling some strung-up limbs. The ball bounces away, and the boy, happy that he can continue his pursuit, the doll touches the ground in a demonic corrupted form and sits on chasing after the boy. He manages to narrowly escape the terrifying doll and find his bouncing ball yet again. More spotlights at the back display children and toys shadows. This time, they're more animated, with the children running around and seeming happy. The ball then comes to a stop in a new set of puzzles. The boy observes red fluid spilled on the ground with a smiley face drawn. He's probably too young to understand that this red fluid is actually blood. After playing with all the scattered toys and solving each puzzles associated with them, the scenery changes and teleports the boy into a hellish environment filled with spikes. In the distance, many children are impaled with these spikes, but the boy dismisses them as if he doesn't understand the gravity of the spectacle. At the edge of the spike forming a cliff, lies the football. As he walks towards it, another child falls on top of a spike, with the spikes behind the little boy extending. He jumps over the cliff catching his ball, which makes him wake up from the first nightmare. The boy finds himself on his bed, holding his beloved ball, being happy to actually play with it now, as if he overcame his demons developed from the previous bad memory of his encounter with the bully. Happy that he's overcome his fear and sadness and able to make new, better memories with the ball, the demonic entity with the smiley face appears behind him, rendering him unconscious, with the boy going back to sleep again. The boy remembers another past bad memory where his bunny doll fell into a lake, with him almost falling into the water himself. As he nervously and with great anxiety pulls himself into the pier, seeing his doll sink under the water in sadness, it reveals that he fears water and drowning. The demonic smiley face seems to be stronger in here and flashes in and out. The little boy then teleports into a new realm, this time colorful and beautiful. His inanimate bunny doll is lying in front of him when a nightmarish bunny-shaped entity comes to the image and snatches the doll. The boy in joy chases after the bunny, running through the green circular fields. The playful rabbit jumps into a rabbit hole with a sad bill appearing. The boy solves the puzzle and makes the bill happy by playing with it when a giant rat comes out of the hole wielding the bunny doll. The boy presumes it's just another playful bunny when he spits out the decapitated head of the first playful bunny. The giant cannibal bunny proceeds to eat more bunnies and chase after the boy. The boy manages to outrun this menacing bunny in a circular sunny field and jump through the rabbit hole. He encounters more playful bunnies there, whom he feeds with carrot to enlarge in size as the result. He then uses a guillotine and cuts them in half, which creates two bunnies. He eventually finds a gigantic carrot, which he feeds to a rabbit, who becomes very large. The boy then proceeds to ring the happy bell, which summons the cannibalistic and menacing bunny. He devours the large bunny and chases after the boy when he gets stuck in the guillotine frame. The boy proceeds to jump through another rabbit hole and goes into another field with entities having heart-shaped heads and having tea parties. After interacting with several of such entities, they typically end up unhappy and their heart-shaped heads blow up. After running some errands, the boy proceeds to set up 3 guillotines ready to use. He then rings the happy bell and summons the menacing bunny. The bunny gets cut in half from the first guillotine, revealing that he's consumed many duplicates of the little boy. The mutilated bunny proceeds to chase after the boy, getting his face cut off through another guillotine, revealing yet more duplicates filling up the bunny. A demonic parasitic arm, which seems to have been controlling the bunny, then gets out and chases after the boy, when subsequently it's cut off by the third guillotine. The boy jumps through the rabbit hole again, going to another field, having the mutilated body of the giant rabbit and the corpses of the heart-shaped entities. In there, he finds a smiley face mask which he puts on. This teleports him into another reality filled with smiley faces. The boy then tries to take the mask off, but it seems glued to his head. He runs in this trippy and strange circular world with a set of arms chasing after him. He gives a set of 3 cutlery and a strange spice sprinkler to 3 smiley faces inside of another large smiley face. They end up decapitating each other and becoming winged heads. They help the boy get across a lake using a plate as a boat. The little boy then sees another child with a stuck smiley face on his head being teleported into this world. As he chases after them, headless corpses of children start being thrown around. As the little boy reaches a large entity having an angry face, the boy in front of him gets lifted by this entity, who pulls the little child's head off and throws his body away. The little boy approaches this entity, who pulls his head out as well. The little boy, just being a head now, starts rolling into a football field where it transforms into a football. There, two entities play a tense game of football with it, which ends up cracking open and transforming back to the smiley face head. The boy keeps rolling and reattaches to its body when it gets picked up by another angry face entity who cracks the smiley face mask. He then reaches another angry face, whom he plays with in a goofy manner until it becomes happy and then sad, whom the little boy comforts, who falls asleep as the result, taking the little boy's face mask off. The little boy then finds his bunny doll, which gets taken by a demonic smiley face, having many corrupted arms. The entity takes the boy with him and takes him to the underworld, where two other demonic entities try to snatch the boy, resulting in the boy falling down. In this nightmarish and menacing realm, where many children, bunnies, and other entities' remains are found, he interacts with 3 different set of puzzles, resulting in the 3 entities disappearing. This leads to the boy waking up from the second nightmare, holding his beloved rabbit doll in his hands. He happily plays with it until the demonic ghost-like smiley face comes again and renders the boy unconscious, experiencing a 3rd nightmare. This time, his playmate is a live creature, a moving and breathing dog. He becomes delightful in presence of his dog and chases after him when he gets brutally taken by an invisible force, terrifying the dog, who whimpers in pain. The boy, shocked to the sight, solves a grim puzzle which reveals a large dark figure holding the dog's foot upside down. He zaps this dark entity with a rainy piece of cloud, which reveals that this dark entities wear a happy face mask, being worn by demonic entities. The figure ends up getting trapped in a flimsy cage, and it leads to another bad memory. The boy was in the woods playing fetch with his dog, leading to a long-term trauma of the boy. Back to the nightmare, the boy happily chases after his lost dog, ending up in a cattail field. He yet again loses sight of his dog, where he witnesses his dog being tormented by horned creatures. He rips off one of their faces and proceeds to wear it as disguise. He joins a circle of these creatures, where he sees a duplicate of himself being presented to the group, whom they mercilessly devour after getting the sickeningly sadistic approval of the demonic smiley face entity. In shock, the little boy takes his mask off and observes the remains of his duplicate. He then continues his search for his dog. He eventually reunites with his miraculously unharmed dog, who leads him to another set of challenges. After solving them, trees come from the sky with their roots being exposed. The dog gets pushed down by one of the roots into the base of the floor, changing its center of gravity. The boy then reaches an indescribable creature who takes him under, with the boy's head disappearing. After interacting with the creature, he gets his head back. After several interactions with this entity, he gets trapped inside a creature, which he finally manages to break out of. Then several other creatures with bright faces chase after the boy when he flashes out into a different place with his dog waiting for him. The demonic smiley face then appears and traps the dog in the underworld, represented as being a shadow. The dog, called Goody, then freezes and free falls lower and lower into this underworld. The little boy repeatedly strikes the barrier underneath and falls under as well. As he freely falls lower and lower, he encounters broken and corrupted creatures tormenting him. He eventually finds a large duplicate of himself with 3 drawings of a football, a bunny doll, and his dog Goody, whom he had bad past memories associated with. He eventually falls to the embrace of the demonic smiley face when he wakes up. He finds himself in his bed when his dog comes to him and he chases after him to play together. This unfortunately is only a delusion, as the reality is of a grim and dark room, with the boy being older, in a room with papers taped on the walls and childish toys scattered around the room. A demonic ghost pulls out of the body, and the child wakes up behind a clear panel of barrier, begging for help and drawing a smiley face. The story explains a tragic story of a child who had 3 beloved playmates, which all end up lost or missing. The first is of his football, which gets taken by a bully. The second is of a bunny doll, which sinks in a lake. And finally, the most tragic one is his best friend, Goody, a dog who gets lost in the woods. The child traverses across 3 psychedelic nightmares where he overcomes his fears and regains his precious playmates. After each nightmare, he wakes up happier, but is ultimately put back to sleep by a demonic smiley face. In the final nightmare, he fails to save his dog, which gets trapped in the parallel underworld reality. The boy goes after it, and when he wakes up, he finds his dog, but it all turns out to be nothing but delusion. A grown-up version of the child in a grim dark room, surrounded by paperwork which might be from his work or overdue bills, lies on the ground with his head melting down. There also lies childish toys which indicate this man never truly grew up, as he was always tormented by his dark past memories. In an attempt to find happiness, he presumably uses hallucinogenic recreational drugs, represented in his head melting, and he wearing a sad smile. This creates a demonic smiley face entity, a representation of his drug use, leading to him hallucinating a world where he can regain the impossible things he lost. His happiness is fake, however, as the true child is seen being trapped behind a clear panel, drawing a smiley face, while in fact he is unhappy. This is further represented in the demon that only pretends to be happy, but in reality, it finds the misery of the child within this adult. The demon is then seen originating from within this man. It's unclear if the man overdosed or if he was just hallucinating in a drug-induced trip. But according to the child still trapped behind the panel and the demon still attached to the body, it depicts that the man is still alive and choosing the wrong path to overcome his bad memories and his inner demons. If you enjoyed this video, you can watch more by clicking on the cards on the screen. You can also stay tuned for the latest videos by hitting on the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host Dar, and as always, have a fantastic day.